We've been given the information in 4 different ways, and each of these represents a line. So we have 4 separate lines. This line has been given to us in graph form. This line has been given to us in table form. This one as an equation, and this one, it just hands us the slope and the y-intercept. Eventually, we're going to be asked a series of questions about which one is the steepest, which one has the biggest y-intercept, and so forth. But before I can answer those questions, the first thing I want to accomplish is to find the slope and the y-intercept for each one of these. Now, when it comes to the graph, wherever the line crosses the y-axis, that is my b value. So in this particular one, whoops, let me go backwards here. We're crossing the y-axis at -4. So I know my y-intercept in this one is -4. If I'm given a graph and I want to find the slope, the easiest way to determine that is to ask yourself, how am I going to move from one point to the other point using rise over run? Remember, rise is like a helicopter up and down, so positive up, negative down, and then run is right and left. Right is positive, left is negative. So if I want to move from this point to this point, I'm going to need to go up 4 and then right 1. Up is positive, right is positive, so that's 4 over 1. And 4 divided by 1 is 4. So I know my y-intercept is -4 and my slope is 4. Okay, for this function, when you plot a point like 0, 5, that means I went right 0 up 5, so I'm on the y-axis. So my y-intercept, my b is 5. So you're looking in your table for the point that starts with 0, because that's going to be on the y-axis. Then if I have slope and I want to find slope and I've got a whole bunch of points, you want to grab any 2 points. It doesn't matter which 2 points that you grab. For no particular reason, I just grabbed these top 2 points, -2, 1 and -1, 3. So if we subtract our y's, that's going to be 3 minus 1 over, subtract the x's, -1 minus -2. 3 minus 1 is 2. -1 minus a -2 is -1 plus 2, which is 1. And 2 divided by 1 is 2. Okay, so we found our y-intercept, the point that starts with 0, and we found our slope. Okay, then in this one, it's written in y equals mx plus b form. So the number in front of x is my slope. So just emphasizing that. The negative in the front is a -1. So my slope is -1. The number at the end is my b value, which is +1. So my b is 1. And then finally, this last one is as easy as it gets because they just hand it to you. They say the slope is -3. So I know my m is -3. And the y-intercept is -2. So b is -2. Now that we've found the slope and y-intercept for all 4 functions, I'm just making myself a table to organize the information. So if I organize that information here, function 1 had a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of -4. Function 2 had a slope of 2 and a y-intercept of 5. Function 3, slope and y-intercept. And function 4, slope and y-intercept. Now that I know that, let's answer some questions. Okay, so Anytime you're asked a question about size, something's bigger or something smaller, we're going to think about the number line, and your number line is, as you move to the right on the number line, things get bigger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So moving right is larger and moving left is smaller. So if I say which one's bigger, I'm going to say which one is further to the left. If I say which one is smaller, I'm going to think which one is which one's bigger, further to the right, which one's smaller, further to the left. So if I want the greatest slope, I'm going to just take all of these numbers that are my slopes, 4, 2, -1, and -3. I'm going to picture those ones in order. And the number 4 would be the furthest to the right on the number line. So this one right here is my largest slope. So I'm going to grab this guy here. And my largest slope is 4. And so that goes with function number 1. So function 1 is the answer. Okay, this one here, my y-intercepts that are greater than 2. Well, if something is bigger, it's further to the right. So if I take all my y-intercepts, -4, 5, 1, and -2, and I put those in order, I also put the number 2 here. If I'm like, which one is bigger than 2, it really means which number is further to the right on the number line. The only number further to the right on the number line of these red numbers compared to 2 would be the number 5. So this is the one that is, the number 5 is greater than 2. And the function that had a y-intercept of 5 was function number 2. Okay, then this one, a y-intercept closest to 0. So if I take all these red numbers and put it on a number line, -4, -2, 1, and 5, which one of these is closest to 0? See how 1 is really close to 0? So the number 1 is the number that is closest to 0, and 1 was for function 3. Okay, and then steepness. Steepness is where it's a little bit different. So steepness, let's talk about how steep something is. If we want to investigate the slope, but this line right here is going, when your eyes hit it, going from left to right, it's going up, so we know this is uphill, positive slope. This line right here, as your eyes hit it from left to right, goes down, so it's a negative slope, downhill. But if you were to ski down either one of these, it's the same. If I have a slope of 1, or I have a slope of -1, the steepness is the same. If I have a line that is a slope of 10, or I have a line that is a slope of -10, they're the same steepness. So when you are asked about steepness, you're really comparing the absolute value of slope. You don't care about the sign of the answer. If I go through for all of my slopes, 4, 2, -1, and -3, okay, the absolute value of -1 is 1. The absolute value of 2 is 2. The absolute value of -3 is 3. And the absolute value of 4 is 4. So the steepest one, 1, 2, 3, 4, the biggest number there is 4. And this one went with function number 1. If it would have said instead, which one of these lines is the least steep, it would be this one here. But the sign doesn't matter. Positive, negative, you're looking at slopes and only looking to see compare their absolute values.